Woo, boy, we're busy. Busy in the screening room this week. I think we've got 11 to, we thought we were going to have 10, and then one surprised us, and we'll get to that. But welcome in to Talk Movies. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we are from MaddWolf.com. Yeah, we got big screen, we got some streaming, lots of music to talk about this week. But let's start out with the latest from Glenn Powell.
First up in theaters, disowned at birth by his obscenely wealthy family, blue-collar Beckett Redfellow will stop at nothing to reclaim his inheritance, no matter how many relatives stand in his way. It's How to Make a Killing.
Yeah, not just Glenn Powell, but the writer-director is John Patton Ford, who did Emily the Criminal.
See that?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. That's a real good one. And this one covers similar territory, fighting back against the rich people and the system. This one takes a little more of a wink kind of approach to it. And Glenn, it's kind of Glenn Powell's area. I mean, he's good at that. He's always charming, of course, and he's a rogue here because what he is a Beckett Redfellow. That's his name. That's a rich D-bag name, isn't it? But even though he's part of this insanely rich family that's led by the patriarch, played by Ed Harris, and
never a bad decision.
Kind of a cameo, not much more than that. But he's ostracized. He's not counted because his mother had him when she was 18. She got pregnant at 18, and she decided to have the baby anyway. So she was cast out of the house, and she had to go out on her own to have the baby. And she didn't live too old. I think she passed away when Beckett here was just a boy. And then he grew up hard scrabble, and he knows that he's still in line, way down the line, to inherit these billions. So he starts hatching a plan that he can knock off some of these branches of the family tree. He'll get closer and closer to inheriting the billions once the old man, Ed Harris, passes away. So that's basically the plan. And then he gets, along the way, he meets up with a childhood friend played by Margaret Qualley. And you're not quite sure, does she want to help him? She's already married and she's flirty. What's going on? What's her motivation? So she's involved in as well. And she's great. By the way, she's pretty much always is. It's not a huge part, not the lead, of course, he is, but the main problem I had with this movie is that it's set up as a sort of a flashback device. It's his character Beckett is telling his story to somebody else at the very beginning after the fact, where all of these situations have already played out, and now he's telling this person and telling us how he got to the situation where he is today. And, I guess as a start out device, I suppose it could have worked better. But then just when the movie seems to be gaining some pace and gaining some momentum, you're undercut it and you're back to telling this story again. And it just kind of makes it in stops and starts, unfortunately for me. And then at the end, it does definitely throw you a couple of curveballs. And you'll be reminded of two movies specifically that I'm not going to mention at the very end. But it's not terrible, but it's not great. I mean, all the while I'm thinking, man, there's something here. There's something here that's maybe on the order of Emily the Criminal. Emily the Criminal certainly had more bite to it.
Oh yeah. This
is more fun and more romantic because he ends up starting a relationship with somebody. Jessica Henwick plays Ruth, his girlfriend, and she's really good too. So they've got that as a side story. So it's a little more flirty, a little more fun, a little more wink than Emily the Criminal was, because Aubrey Plaza doesn't do wink.
No.
And that movie was better for it.
She's so good.
Yeah, she's so good. But this one tackles some of the same territory, just in a lighter manner, and I just don't love the framing by telling the story in flashback until you get to the very end, and then it catches up to present day and gives you the little finale, which may be satisfying for some people concerning the subject matter, maybe not for others. But it's one of those that's really hard to pinpoint because it's not terrible, but it's not great. So okay, it's in the theaters. If it was streaming, I would say definitely. Why not? I mean, it's a
it's on your TV.
90 minutes. But and also give credit to Topher Grace for a very funny cameo as a really obnoxious member of this family who's one of those fake preachers, those fake motivational preachers. Oh, you just hate him. You just hate his guts.
He's got a punchable face.
He does. He really does. And he plays it up in this part. So I give him credit for that. And it's a good ensemble. You know, I mentioned Ed Harris, Bill Camp. You always love to see Bill Camp.
I do love Bill Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple other faces that you'll probably recognize from other films. So yeah, it's perfectly fine. But that's about all. And I was left with the feeling that it could have been more than that. It really could have, but it's just not quite there. But that is in theaters, How to Make a Killing.
Next in theaters, a police officer tracks a killer after her husband, a highway patrolman, becomes one of his victims. Psycho Killer.
I know.
I mean, you can't help it, can you?
I love that song.
It's a great song. It's a great song.
This movie, I just said so. The villain is very impressive. His name is James Preston Rogers is the name of the actor, and he's just huge. He's huge, and they create. I mean, the look is great. He's got, first of all, he keeps wearing this very creepy mask. He's got long hair. He's always wearing these very sort of creepy but cool coats. He's got a cool voice. He cuts an impressive figure.
Well, that's important in a movie like this.
Oh my God,
yeah,
yeah.
It definitely is.
And I think particularly for this one, because the movie itself is not that scary. It's set up as more of a thriller. It was written by Andrew Kevin Walker, who wrote Seven, and also 8mm, and The Killer from a couple years ago.
Some dark stuff right there.
And also a Metalocalypse movie. So it has that more of a thriller vibe about it, even though it's another one of his serial killer films. And Georgina Campbell plays, and she's always from Barbarian and a lot of other things, and she plays a state trooper, and her husband is also a state trooper, and the satanic slasher shoots her husband in the face and drives off, and she takes a shot, but all she does is blow out the back of his window, so she does not take him down. So right there, I like about this movie is that so that the rest of the film is her just foregoing her career and everything, you know, getting no help from the siloed other departments across the country who are trying to track down the serial killer. And she goes to avenge the death of her spouse, a cop who misses the shot and then spends the rest of the movie obsessively chasing down the man who killed their spouse. That's a guy movie. Like 99% of the time, it's the guy whose beautiful, loving wife is dead on the pavement, and he blames himself. So I like right there that role reversal is one of the reasons the movie's interesting, because were that not the case, you'd feel like, oh, I've seen this movie 500 times. But between the interesting serial killer and then the role reversal, it is kind of an interesting movie. It's very spare. He just is on a cross-country killing spree, and she's trying to figure out his trajectory. So she's always like one step behind him. And there's not a ton of violence on the screen. We're told of a ton of violence, but we don't really participate in very much of it. There are a couple of scenes, one with a priest, and then one with a room full of Satanists led by Malcolm McDowell. Both of those.
Perfect. Yeah,
they're so subversive in their own way with what they're doing there. And they almost have a sense of humor, which on the whole, the film does not have a sense of humor. So they were nice, like flourishes in an otherwise pretty streamlined, gritty film. I have to say that, and I say this often when we watch movies that are sort of typical witch movies, that the satanic serial killer is a conservative straw dog boogeyman, and it's damaging, and I hate that. So that that left me a little bit cold. But that aside, I thought that it was a pretty solid horror film.
Yeah, that's another quick one, 90 minutes.
Oh yeah, in and out.
Right. Yeah, and but not as blood and guts as the title might lead you to imagine.
No, and also like the Glenn Powell movie, the third act comes out of nowhere, and you're like, all right, okay. So, and I found it very satisfying, the third act. So there you go.
And that one is in theaters.
It is.
And it's Psycho Killer.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Next up, in limited theaters before it hits Prime Video, an intimate portrait of Paul McCartney's journey after the Beatles as he and wife Linda form Wings. It's Man on the Run.
Yeah, keep singing. We've entered the musical documentary portion of the show. Yeah, Man on the Run, as the synopsis said there, in select theaters just this weekend, and then it's hitting Prime next weekend. But it's worth seeing on the big screen, especially if you're a big McCartney fan. I know a few that had their tickets a long time ago, because this is just focuses on, obviously there are references to the Beatles, but I mean, this focuses on really just a 10-year period from McCartney's first solo album in 1970, which signaled the official end of the Beatles. Although, as you hear Paul McCartney tell it, they had broken up before that. They just had agreed not to tell anybody, to the end of Wings in 1980. So really a 10-year period. And it's fascinating because, how do you follow up the Beatles? It was an amazing problem to have, the most culturally significant band of all time. And then what do we do next? What do we do next? Because everything is going to be judged against it. So what was his approach? And that's basically what this movie is. And you hear, of course, a lot of interviews in Paul's own words, and see a lot of great archival footage and videos and photos and even some animation. A lot of it never before seen, they say. And the director is Morgan Neville.
Right.
Great documentarian. Won an Oscar, of course, for 20 Feet from Stardom.
That's right.
He did the Steve Martin biography a couple years ago.
That. Yeah.
He did One Should Be My Neighbor. I mean, great.
Oh, that movie made me cry.
Great. So, and what he does here, he has some great instincts. Obviously, the visual aesthetic is sort of like a scrapbook, like a mixed media scrapbook.
Yeah.
There are sequences that seem like you're tearing a page away and moving on, and maybe there's a little bit of a paper mache thing here, and then a picture here and video here. Yeah. So it keeps your eyes interested, as well as, of course, the music that you hear, and a lot of it, and the interviews. And it's all very much in that 10-year timestamp. Even when there's interviews that you suspect are more recent, like say with Mick Jagger or Chrissie Hynde, or of course McCartney's adult kids, because those are going to be more recent. You only hear the voice. You never see the face. So it doesn't take you out of that timestamp immersion, the headspace that McCartney and family were in at the time. And that kind of makes you just really feel it more as it goes through forming Wings, bringing Linda into the band, forming Wings. He's going to follow up the Beatles with another band. That's quite a choice. And then a lot of members come and go from Wings as the years went on. And of course, you hear a lot of music and a lot of home videos of him down on the farm. And you learn a lot that I didn't know about the famous pot bust in Japan. We'd all heard about it, but some details come out about that. And some self-reflective interviews from McCartney, who admits to, he wanted to still be a part of a band and sort of go back to the old days, going to, van and going across to the clubs, but at the same time having to acknowledge that his ego and his drive led some of his band members to feel like they were just hired sidemen and then leave. So we had to confront that as well. So it's fascinating. I think it's a must see, obviously, for the McCartney fans, for the Beatles fans. There is some Beatles, but again, don't be fooled. This is mainly.
I thought you were going to say there are some Beatles fans. Yeah, a few.
Yeah, just got one there. You get some flashbacks and some old footage when he's talking about those very early days. But no, this is about McCartney and how he approached those post-Beatle years, and then you also get a little bit of a look back through some of these more recent videos that are just audio about how some of that solo work, especially prior to Band on the Run album, has gotten a lot more respect over the last few years. People looking back and finding those albums and realizing they're more consequential than they were regarded in the beginning, when people just wanted to poo-poo anything that wasn't the Beatles. So yeah, big recommendation. If you can see it on the big screen, do. If not, it's coming to Prime next weekend, and that's Paul McCartney, Man on the Run.
And in theaters in IMAX, Baz Luhrmann's film that follows Elvis, featuring never-before-seen footage and recordings. EPiC, Elvis Presley in concert.
EPiC, EPiC, Elvis Presley in concert. And it's very...
Why is he always spelling stuff? He's always spelling stuff.
This is one that we thought was going to come out next week. Yeah. And this one kind of caught us napping. But it's pretty timely because in the first few minutes, you see a clip of Elvis singing Yesterday, of course, a McCartney song. Like, boy, this is all these years later, we're still talking about the Beatles and Elvis. And this one is on the big screen in IMAX. That's the way to see this for sure. And it's Baz Luhrmann, of course, who just did the Elvis movie with Austin Butler a couple of years ago. And this is pure Baz Luhrmann presentation. It's big, it's loud, it's woohoo, here we are. But it's pretty thrilling too. And it also offers a lot of, they say, never before seen footage. And this is the focus here is, as opposed to like a 10-year period with McCartney, that was the focus. The focus here is in concert, because don't expect to see like that comeback special with the leather suit, because that was TV. That was a TV special. This is talking about in concert. And it's also, don't expect a full concert film, because it's not that. In the beginning, you get a quick sort of documentary style run through his career, just zipping through those movies and how he got past, the army and then the movies, and then got past that phase, and he was done with the contracts for the movies, and now going back in concert. And that's where it picks up and starts showing you this footage that is really, really expertly edited, both film editing and sound editing. Because what Baz Luhrmann does, which is really cool, he'll go into a song and it'll switch between the actual concert footage. Then you'll see some rehearsal footage where they're working it out. Then a concert footage from another concert. But if you closed your eyes, you would never know it moved around at all. The sound is seamless, that they must have done with the backing tracks and then synced it all up. It's pretty impressive from a craftsmanship standpoint. And it's just the Elvis. There's nothing about the drugs. There's nothing about any sort of scandal. It's just Elvis on stage. Elvis at his most magnetic. It doesn't go past, say, the early 70s. You don't see fat Elvis. You don't see Elvis when he's clearly out of it. And this is prime Elvis in concert, having fun with the crowd, and the crowd is losing their minds. I mean, he spent so much time. He did more kissing than Richard Dawson. I mean, I didn't see it.
That is the most 70s reference ever made on this podcast.
Yeah, look it up, kids. Look it up. But I mean, and these women were just going nuts, and you see some famous faces in the crowd. Sammy Davis is at the concert, so he introduces him. And if you're a real music nerd, you might notice a couple of faces singing backup and playing backup for Elvis back in the day. But again, this is one for the fans. You definitely want to see it. You definitely want to see it in IMAX for sure. Big and loud. The sound is great. The video, the clarity is fantastic, and it's just another snapshot, a real snapshot of just Elvis and the Beatles. We're still talking all these years later. And even though he didn't write any of this stuff, it reminds you what a great voice. I mean, incredible voice and magnetic on stage. So Baz Luhrmann, EPiC, spelling it out. Elvis Presley in concert. Check it out in IMAX this week.
Next up, the three programs highlighting the Oscar-nominated shorts hitting theaters this week. Live action, animated, and documentary.
Presented by Taika Waititi. This threw us.
Yeah, because I kept expecting him to talk in between the
I did too.
shorts.
I guess he's going to be presenting at the show. That must be it.
Wow.
Because we kept seeing this, and I'm like, is he going to come on in between and introduce them? He's not. But I guess he'll give out the hardware. But we look for, you were saying this on TV this morning, we look forward to this every year.
Every year. Yeah, I mean, you've said this many times. When you're a little kid watching the Oscars with your parents, and they have these, especially for me, the animated ones, I'm like, why can't I just watch these?
Right.
Like, where can I go see
I used to wonder that. How do they even see them to nominate them? Yeah.
And so for years now, the Academy has put out the full program. So you either buy a ticket to see all of the documentary shorts or the live action shorts or the animated shorts, and they're all there together. And of course, then together like that, the runtime is between 90 minutes and 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it all works out. It's a beautiful idea. And also when you're filling out your ballot, you'll have seen them and you'll know which one you think you want to pick.
Even though
we're always wrong.
We're terrible. We're pretty good. We're pretty good at picking everything except.
We're really good.
Okay, we're really good.
Yeah, except the shorts, man. We never had any idea what Oscars.
Because you know what I do? I go with my favorite one. I go with my favorite one.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a chance to feel any momentum. Like you can always tell about earlier award shows when it's award season, who won the BAFTA or who won SAG or whatever. You get a sense of some momentum. You have no idea about these shorts. So I just go with my favorite one. And it's usually not the one that wins. But there are just some great ones.
There are.
Some are available. You can find some airing right now on YouTube.
And Netflix.
And
Netflix always has a couple.
But
the singers. That's one of our favorites, and that's on Netflix right now. And
but a lot of them are not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And either way, I mean, it's just you get to see them all together, which for me, especially the animated ones, is a great way. They're so gorgeous and they're so fun. And then some of them are not fun, but they're beautiful. And there's this one stop motion. I just kept thinking the
Girl
whole time.
Who Cried Pearls.
The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I kept thinking, I can't imagine how long it took to make this. It was so it was weird. Beautiful is the wrong word. It was weird looking.
Yeah.
But it was so specific and so detailed, and it was a fascinating story.
There's there's great variety this year too.
Yeah, there is.
Really is great variety. There's social commentary, but there's whimsical comedy. There's futuristic. There's one a black and white one, a live action narrated by Vicky Krieps called Two People Exchanging Saliva.
Yeah.
Now that sounds like a comedy, but it's not.
No.
It's a real
surreal kind of sci-fi future.
Yeah, exactly. Where people pay for things at a department store by getting slapped across the face. That's just the start of it. So, and there's animated. There's animated called Forever Green.
Oh,
loved it. That's
too.
my favorite. That's what I hope wins. Animated. Forever Green is great. Also a funny one called The Three Sisters.
I really like Retirement Plan.
Domhnall Gleeson is the voice for that one.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, they're great.
Yeah,
they're great.
They really are.
The documentary shorts are often they are more likely
heart-wrenching. Yeah, there are.
The Devil is Busy is a great one. There is one, Perfection of Strangest, Perfectly Strangest. I screw up the title every time, but it's about donkeys and it's just delightful.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are going to rip your heart out.
Yeah, as they often do.
Yeah.
But
they're great.
These are always so worth seeing as you gear up for the March 15th Oscars. So choose your program or see all three separately.
Right. That's right.
It's the Oscar-nominated shorts presented by Taika Waititi. Although
thanks.
Don't expect to see him at the theater. We'll see him on March 15th. But those are out all over. I love it because they're getting a wide release.
Yeah, they're in all the big theaters.
Yeah, this is just not at your art house. This is at all the big theaters. So
go
check them out and make your ballots.
Also in theaters, a horror flick that follows Sloan and 4 other students who take shelter in their high school during a zombie outbreak. This is not a test.
Sound the alarm. It's not a test.
Yeah. It's I didn't dislike this movie. I like this movie well enough. Anytime you see a zombie movie, because there are so many, you think, okay, what are you doing that's different? Like, why is this worth watching? And Adam McDonald directed this one, co-wrote and directed this one. He did I Whack It a few years ago. He's got a pretty good, iffy sometimes, but pretty good sense of horror. And this one, it's mostly, so Olivia Holt is Sloan, high school senior. Her sister, who was her best friend recently, bailed on their family, so she's alone with her abusive father, and she's pretty miserable. And then on that day, now the zombies are here. Great. So it's a movie that takes itself very seriously. It's not one of those it's not a horror comedy in any way. It's a straight up action zombie film. And I think that McDonald gives you a sense of his heroes in the genre from the outset, because as soon as she opens the front door, it is essentially the exact scene from Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead,
and
where she's just looking at the chaos in her suburban.
That's ballsy too, because
that's not a scene.
Such a great scene.
One of the all-time greatest openings in a horror movie. So brilliant. That the Zack Snyder's movie. I'm not knocking this movie. And then so she winds up with sort of a gaggle of other high school students. None of them know each other all that well, except 2 that are brother and sister, and they wind up at the high school. For some reason, there's nobody else at the high school, and that's where they go. So then it's almost like the Breakfast Club, a humorless Breakfast Club, right? That's stuck in the zombie apocalypse at the school. And there are things that the movie does that only work because these are teenagers, right? So They make stupid decisions. They yell at each other when they should just shut up and decide what to do. They're very dramatic, and they stop and watch something when you should run away. Like the dad is like, Sloan, go down the basement. And said she stands there until he's dead and there's a zombie around. Get down the goddamn basement.
What's that commercial? Let's go hide behind the chainsaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so many of the things that if they were adults, you're like, there's no, but you're like, no, who does yell at their friends all the time in dramatic fashion? Teenagers. So a lot of the movie gets away with some of the sort of lazy writing cliches that other movies don't, because they are dealing with teenagers and fairly realistically. And the performances are pretty good. It's just that it's a pretty slight film, and it doesn't really do anything new aside from just focus exclusively on these 5 teenagers who are trapped. So I didn't hate it. It was fine. I don't know that I would watch it again. I certainly wouldn't pay to watch it again.
A couple of those this week.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mm.
This is not a test, and
Yeah.
that's in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
On Shudder this week, a documentary interrogating true crime's cultural impact from murderous origins to modern revival, exposing British society's prejudices and dark underbelly. The Last Sacrifice.
Do you know what I'm going to watch again, George?
The Last Sacrifice.
That's right.
It's so funny when we were first talking about this movie, and you said about the origins of folk horror, and I immediately said Wicker Man.
That's right. That's right. That is.
And it turned out Wicker Man is in here a lot, obviously. But we love us some folk horror.
Oh yeah, and so this is a documentary, and it is from Rupert Russell, and it is if you like folk horror, if you like cinematic British folk horror, right? If that is like your bag, you have to watch this movie. It is insane to me, and I like all of it. I like some great, like The Wicker Man. I like bad, campy, The Devil Rides Out kind of hammer horror. Like if there's a black mass in a movie, I'm in. And what I love about this documentary in particular is that it told me all kinds of things I didn't know. Like in the late 60s through the 70s, witchcraft was a massively popular movement in England. There were people who were saying, this is our religion that we gift to the world. Witchcraft was. And there were people who were like British people known. Yeah, this person he's the king of the witches. What? And he was just on talk shows. Yeah, I'm the king of the witches. What? There were whole BBC documentary series about witchcraft, where they just followed covens through like their rituals. And what is insane is, first of all, they were real TV shows, like documentary TV shows. And second of all, Hammer lifted those scenes. So the campiest, dumbest, most sort of purple-robed lunacy that you've ever seen in a Hammer movie, they would show it split screen, side by side of an actual documentary footage. I was like, I cannot get over this. So
purple-robed lunacy.
That's right. It was, it was crazy to me as somebody who has watched all those movies. They're such comfort food movies for me. And this the documentary starts with, it's called The Last Sacrifice because it anchors everything around this very ritualized murder that took place in 1945 in an isolated British community where the people who lived there were not too fond of outsiders and nobody would help in an investigation. And somebody came from a big town.
When Sergeant Howie came to investigate.
That's right. And so, that was all fascinating and everything. I think that the documentary gets off track when it tries to be spooky, when it tries to be like true crime and then you're like, but these witches, the actual witches, these glorious people from Britain in 1960s and 70s, never hurt a fly ever. No one ever accused them of hurting anybody. They were completely harmless, where all of these movies, the witches are the villains. All of the movies that came out of the 60s and 70s in England, the folk horror, the witches are the villains. I mean, maybe you can side against Sergeant Howie. He really wouldn't dare. But what is fascinating, so the material that he dredges up is fascinating. The tone, the true crime, British underbelly, that's just dumb. So I do have some nits to pick with the approach that the filmmaker took to this documentary. However, I would send him a thank you note if I could for letting me in on all of this fascinating
Yeah.
information about British folk horror.
Very cool. This is on Shudder.
It is.
So another reason if you don't have Shudder,
Yep.
get Shudder.
Yeah, and you should watch that. And then what is the Days Bewitched?
And
Something dark and Days
Woodlands Deep.
Dark, Woodlands Deep, and Days Bewitched. What? That's not right either.
That's like 3 hours long, but it's totally worth it.
It's so great.
We
It's
were
like-
sitting there
yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about. It's just big old documentary
Woodlands
about
Dark
folklore.
and Days Bewitched.
Yeah, I think
That sounds
that's right.
pretty good. Something like that.
Yeah, Google that. You'll be close. And watch it though. If you
Yeah.
if you like British folk horror at all,
Definitely.
watch both.
And Wet is Ronan Morrison.
That's right.
The Last Sacrifice on Shudder.
That's right.
And streaming this week, a horror thriller that follows Anne and her mother-in-law who live a solitary, harsh life on the outskirts of society. But when a man from their past returns, he will set off a sequence of events that become a turning point for Anne in The Dreadful.
Dreadful is in that poster.
Yeah, it's bad.
Wasn't
Really
good.
bad. No. So if you're a Game of Thrones fan, go ahead and watch it. Whatever. Do it. If you're not a Game of Thrones fan, watch Oni Baba. Yeah.
Oni Baba.
Yeah, Oni
Yeah.
Baba, 1965 Japanese movie, masterpiece, glorious, amazing,
Classic.
weird, subversive, gorgeous, creepy,
Black and white.
black and white.
Cool.
Oh my God, visually stunning.
Stunning.
So The Dreadful and Oni Baba are both based on the same Buddhist parable. So it's not as if this movie just rips off another movie. It's just that both movies are based on the same source material. But this one is set in like I think medieval. It's in England. It's during the Iron Wars. I don't know what time period that was, but let's say medieval. And Marcia Gay Harden, glorious as she always is, absolutely flawless.
Mhm.
So she plays Morwen, and she and her daughter-in-law Anne, who is Sophie Turner, Sophie Turner, they're living kind of in a hovel. They're waiting for Sophie's husband, Morwen's son, to come back from having been conscripted into the army in these Iron Wars to fight knights. And so they get along as best they can. And then Seamus's friend, played by Kit Harington, returns without him and says he's dead. Well, now Morwen is freaked out because these two women are barely surviving and they're waiting for her son to come home. And if her son comes home, then they have to take care of her, Morwen, the mom. They're obligated to. But if Anne marries this no account Kit Harington, then there's nobody to take care of Morwen. And what is she going to do? Right. So that's the motivation. And the whole film, unlike Oni Baba is told from the mother-in-law's perspective, this is told from Anne's perspective. So it's like, what is she going to choose? Is she going to stay with her mother-in-law? Is she going to go with new love? And there is like creepy things on both sides. Like maybe her husband's not really dead and this guy just left the army because he wants to marry her. You know what I mean? There's all this creepy stuff afoot. But here's the thing. Morwen has been doing increasingly horrifying things to keep the two of them financially afloat. And so putting you in the perspective of the daughter-in-law makes like you never, why would you stay with this murderous woman? Why would you, like, you're like, are there no constables? Like, I don't know what the law was like in maybe medieval England. I don't know, but so that's one of the problems is that, and the writer director is Natasha Kermani, and you just can't figure out like the Anne character is not a proper character. She like either she's got the mind of a 4-year-old or and it just none of her choices make any sense. The fact that there is conflict within her makes no sense. And then what's worse is the end is sort of a little bit ambiguous and completely unearned. So this movie is just a disappointment, but man, Oni Baba's great.
Yeah, so that's one to see. This is on Prime Video, and it's called The Dreadful. Not really a recommendation for that one.
More horror on VOD. A woman's hope for a miracle cure turns into a nightmare when she confronts the vengeful spirit of a cursed witch, determined to claim her as a vessel for her evil power. Diabolic.
Also, no.
More witches.
Yeah, no. And it's another one of those, where you're like, the witch is, of course, it's really a witch. The devil really made her do it. She really is, it's not one of those things. Anyway, but it's also just lazily written. There are some, the actual demon, right, that's coming back from the dead to take over this woman's body. She's creepy looking. it was some fine practical effects. It was some fine creature design.
Always appreciate that.
Yeah, she is effective and creepy, and it's a young woman who something happened to her in her Latter-day Saints upbringing that her current 10 years later she keeps having nightmares and she's just behaving almost psychotically, and so her psychologist tells her, you either have to be institutionalized or you have to go back without any medical supervision to the cult that no doubt caused the trauma that you are reliving and see if they can help you. So dumb. It's just stupid writing. And then once they get there, she goes with her husband, who's kind of a dick, and she goes with her best friend, who's kind of a hippie. They don't like each other. And then it's just 100 million times of, why aren't they leaving yet? Or it's just like, oh, just give me a minute. I have to be by myself. Okay, we'll give you. Well, okay, then as soon as I do this, maybe we can start to take down the camp. Peril, clear peril surrounds them. They walk out of a building and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there has been nobody else anywhere. They're in the middle of nowhere. And now there are all of these like wooden pikes with creepy stuff hanging off of them. Some of it like garments and some of it animals that have been impaled. And they're like, oh, that's weird. Do you guys have any liquor? It's just I just wanted to shoot myself watching this movie. So I would say there was something here. Had it been a short film, but even right there, just the setup. I'm a doctor and I'm telling you, go back to the cult. See if they can help. Dumb. So no.
No for Diabolic, and that one's on Prime Video.
Back to theaters for a Japanese drama set in post-war Japan's economic boom. A man born into a gangster family finds himself adopted by a kabuki actor. Despite life's challenges, he develops into a gifted performer in Kokuho.
This is, it's Oscar nominated for, I believe, Hair and Makeup, which kind of, it centers on kabuki theater, so you can see that. Also, fair warning, it's 3 hours long.
Matt Weiner reviewed this one for us, and when I asked if he wanted to, he said, "Is this the one that's like Billy Elliot with not kabuki, with Yakuza?" Like, you know me so well.
I'm in.
Yeah, I thought that was the funniest explanation of this, but
yes,
Ken Watanabe plays this man who takes in the young Yakuza heir brings him over to be a kabuki actor, and it's an epic film. It's not a streamlined movie. There are generations. It's wild. It's really, really entrenched in kabuki. So know that going in. If that's something that you're interested in, it's fascinating. It's brilliant. Matt Weiner loved it. But if it's not something you're interested in, it's 3 hours long.
3 hours of it. Yeah.
So, but if you have any interest in kabuki or in just like, generational epics and that sort of godfather-y kind of big, then I think that you will love it.
Yeah, and you get more of a preview with Matt Weiner's review at MaddWolf.com. But that is Kokuho, and that's in theaters.
And one more horror flick on VOD. A YouTuber with the lowest number of views meets the station master of a mysterious subway station to find the source of a true horror story and encounters several strange stories. It's Ghost Train.
Rachel Willis reviewed this one for us, and it's good and bad. So it's essentially it's a framing device of this YouTuber who goes to interview the station master at this tube station, this subway station. And then it's just a series of subway set ghost stories, like short films that are very good. Some of them incredibly creepy. Some of them really interestingly shot, very atmospheric, creepy, J-horror. And then, it's Korean. And then the framing device is really quite lacking. And that, for me, that happens very often.
Yeah.
In anthologies and horror anthologies, and so that's really the drawback here. But if you like short films, if you like creepy horror short films, especially ghost stories, and it's a streamer, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, that's on Prime, and you can check out Rachel's full review for Ghost Train at MaddWolf.com. All right, that's a bunch. That's a bunch to choose from this week, and we've got one biggie looking ahead to next week, and that is Scream 7. We were just talking this morning.
Yeah.
That really, you look back on the entire franchise and it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not one really where you go, oh my God,
yeah, no.
That's Halloween 6 or whatever it is. It's a pretty solid franchise, and now we'll see. I didn't like number 6 as much as I liked number 5, as I recall.
hmm
Trying to keep track,
hmm
but we'll see.
I'm so excited that you said Halloween 6. Like out of your hat, you picked the very worst Halloween movie.
Is that the Paul Rudd one?
Yeah, Paul Rudd one. Good for you.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, so Scream 7, that's
That's right.
the headliner next week.
Also a new Jessica Chastain called Dreams.
One called, well, actually one from last year that's finally getting a bigger rollout that I've heard a lot about, called The President's Cake.
Yeah, and then Crazy Old Lady. It's a new Shudder horror
And the Crazy Old Lady Dancers.
film.
Simpsons reference. All right, so that's next week. But man, a lot to talk about this week with the music biographies and with How to Make a Killing and Psycho Killer and Oscar-nominated shorts. We'd love to know. Watch those and what's your favorite?
Yes.
And who do you think is going to win? So we can always keep that conversation going. You can find us easily. MaddWolf Columbus everywhere on the socials. Excuse me. MaddWolf.com is the main website. And we'd love it if you subscribe right here on the YouTube channel. You can always check out our short films.
That's right.
All the ones that we've done that aren't in all but one, I think, right? That's two that are still in film festival circuits. You can check those out. And if you want a feature, how about this one over my shoulder? Obstacle Corpse
That's
is
right.
the feature film we made.
That's
that
right.
is,
It's on
available,
Tubi and Prime.
Available to stream right now. And if you like the horror books, Hope's latest novel, Killer Pictures,
That's right.
is available as well. So
That's
lots of
right.
ways to keep in touch. We hope you will enjoy. Have a great week. We'll talk next week. And until then, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.